So, where did we left off? Oh no. Oh well. Sorry, Vogue JP. We left off in a very weird situation, I would say. Very weird. Because I did something very bad. And now, a bunch of the times, these things are disappearing right in front of my eyes. Look at those guys. What are you doing? Why are you disappearing? Why is this happening? Also, it happens here as well. It crops a little bit. Why would you do that? I didn't ask for this shit. Oh my god, man. So I need to figure out what the hell is going on. None of this makes any sense to me. How did I created this? I just wanted to fix this so there used to be like walls attached to this sign. Because when you enter this field, this is the field, right? But if you read a wrong pixel here, you can, instead of take this pixel, you can take this pixel. So I kind of fixed that, and it was a pain in the ass to do, but potentially it created another problem entirely. Accidentally. I don't know how that happened. What this is at all. Or maybe it's actually related to everything else that has been going on here. I would love that to be the case. But there's no indication of that at all. Huh, what's that? It's like a hole here. Why is there a hole? I know, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, it maybe does. There's a hole above every object here. So that's fine. I don't know. Another weird thing is when I switch to different textures, it actually... they're not transparent somehow. I find that hard to believe, but it is what it is. Especially this one. This one looks hardcore not transparent. This one is the weirdest one because I try and forced it to be transparent as much as possible, but it gives me black garbage. Or this one. For some reason, only this texture can be transparent, so I'm not sure what's up with that. Oh well. We have problems. They had to shove it in my face. They can render so many fucking things. Right after, you know, I'm starting to do my thing. Like, now I have to see this. Why? That's a lot of polygons, dude. I will cry now. Do you know... you want me to zoom in, though? This is pretty close, right? This is what zoomed in version looks like. And that's not even a fully zoomed in, where you can see all the polygons. How did they render this far? What? That is fucking mad. I would already be able to just pick this engine up and like run with it. Run away. And this is about tax policy bullshit to equalize the playfield, basically. So it gains equality and productivity. And every other policy kind of fucking sucks on equality quite bad. This is formula, so... and this is free market. US federal, look at that. They tried. I guess. They tried. That's pretty cool. So we can tell the rich get richer situation is problematic. And the most problematic thing about it is that rich get richer because they also get smarter and get more tools to break the system, I would say. There are more things to be rich about, in other words. So it really suppresses everyone. Really everyone, pretty much. And if you really think about all the resources that you can be rich about, holy shit. And our awareness is getting higher and higher in that sense of how many resources there are and how to seize them. Ugh. Oh my god. I obviously can't compete against everyone right now. Being an indie developer and realizing, holy shit, programming is deep bullshit. And I want to have every other resource that actually matters before this becomes like a big deal for me. If it does, it's just so crippling, man. Self-sacrifice is gonna make you rich? That's not true at all. Spending too much time on something and forgetting your life or purpose, which is something now I have to break through and demand myself to know. What is gonna be my purpose? And anytime my purpose says it's fine to do a little bit of progress in my programming, I will try and achieve that. But what I've done, I've spent 2 hours to just do one thing, whack one mole, and the other one popped out of nowhere. I'm so confused. Where did this one came from? What happened? Seriously. What happened? And I don't maybe it was always there and I just didn't saw it, but I would have seen it. I'm just thinking that I made some kind of mistake. And it all falls down now. It's terrifying to me. So yeah, I'll try and implement right now the simple method of pick a box that I have to render, draw a line towards that box, hit the box that is being rendered, the limits of that box. So it would hit normally twice, 3 times at most, and I pick the closest point, or only first the boundary could be like this. So if the furthest furthest point, I pick the furthest point. So if it's further than this point, I can render it for sure. If it's like this, then I take the point and assign it to this square right here, and if it's within the square, I can render it. If it's outside of the square, if it's this thing being checked, it's outside clearly, so I can't render this entire thing. That's how the hex rendering would work, because it always looks like it's a hexagon boundary in reality, like the true boundaries. But I check every line regardless. So here you go. Let's see if that works out for me, if it changes anything, because that's all I have right now. This is already so overwhelming for me as a poor person who's like, well, I wish I had a few more friends, you know, a few more motivators, a few more ways to defend myself from bullshit in my life. I don't have none of those things. I shouldn't be even looking at a screen that says, oh, hey, here's some neural networks. That there's an application to build those neural networks, and it's really super helpful. It just pains me, dude. It's like, who had all this motivation to actually build all this shit? Who went this far? I will never be the best in what I'm doing. Obviously, I will never be the best. And I might not even achieve. It's all about learning for me, I think. What's going on here? For me, it's just learning For me, it's owning a lot of experience. And I might not be the best, but I want quite certainly be one of the best people around my area. Around a big proximity of my area. Like if you having problems, I don't know how to solve them. I don't know how to solve none of these shit. Because probably just either people are pretending or they're very rich. Either or, it's happening here. So when things get super complicated, that's what I have to say to myself. I don't know these people. So maybe that's a good deal. You know? Maybe they didn't want it to get known. Because they live a wonderful life. Otherwise. I even hate looking at all of this stuff. Or any physical anything, man. Everything is now demotivating. And painful. Any amount of work. Because I know I cannot do it. But it's that one thing that helps. It's like, how much money do I have to earn? Do I have to earn to satisfy my need to enter society and to be able to make my videos watchable and to let people understand that I am doing fine, okay? And you shouldn't even be able to make YouTube videos unless you actually earned enough money to do it. To be a part of the society, because this is where society is. This is even scarier now. What the fuck? I don't know, man. I don't know. This is getting out of control. Oh, we're now the blogs, huh? You don't like blogs?
I need.
This blows my... What? It's rendering a lot of stuff as well. I'm not gonna lie. That's a lot. Ah, fucking weirdo, man. I made a fucking crate in one day. That's pretty crazy, right? Ah, what a pain. When someone is so good at fucking Minecraft making, or is it good? The real question, what would happen if I download his project, if it's even possible? Yes, you can download it. Okay. Man, keeping up with everything is so painful. Everything is super painful to me right now. Alright, I just need to know how long it's downloading. I mean, not downloading, but loading for. Just loading. And then I'll open RuneScape because I need to finish that daily. Ah, fuck my life, dude. Don't worry about it, it's just a stupid Unity project. Wow, okay, that's pretty crazy. I hate this blurry text thingy that Unity has. So it is loading, which is good for me. Loading, generating. But the rendering looks super duper smooth and does a lot of things already. Guess it doesn't render everything entirely, maybe? That's a tall mountain. It looks pretty cool, right? I certainly want to consider beating this one way or the other. There's a little bit of flickering, actually. You can see that. None of this is easy to fix, I don't think. Oh, okay. That was loading in as well. It's not a infinite terrain, by the way. I'm not sure what size this terrain is as well. And I'm not sure what boundaries my engine will have in that sense. Make Minecraft in 1 day. Doesn't that spit on my face? I should just use that. Right? I should just use that engine. If I'm not stupid. Wow, it's still loading. Wow, it's still load. Is this actually infinite? And it's quite far away too. What the hell, dude? Oh yeah, and there's obviously no source code to this. 'Cause that's how people do it these days. Just don't fucking throw source code to anyone. It's the worst thing you can do. Contribute to society. You know? Is this it? Is this a fucking world too? Like a round fucking world. That would be the scariest thing. Also, it looks really awkward. All these planes, but it is what it is. This is probably the worst part about this. But I know what it's trying to do, so I guess it's excusable. These weird things. I'm sure there's a way to fix it, and it's just lazy code. So yeah, it's actually infinite terrain. It doesn't generate it infinitely, obviously. In terms of, like, I cannot see infinitely. But it does generate infinitely. Oh, wait. No. That was a close one. That didn't quite generate as fast. Not sure what that's all about, huh? I hear my PC just fucking heating up real bad. But nothing's lagging, so it would be lovely to have something like this. For my games, am I right? Oh yeah, look at that. I can do that, apparently. Reshape this. It's pretty fucking crazy, I would say. So many solutions have been found. For everything, huh? To the point, it just hurts, you know, like, oh, the market is completely ripped apart. That's what it says to me. But usually people don't finish their projects. But there's a good reason why people don't finish their projects now. Now I'm kind of realizing. Yeah, there's probably a good reason for that. Nobody actually gives a fuck anymore. I'm surprised that even that happened. And dude is just cool enough to get subscribers, but not cool enough to actually be cool enough for me, you know. Like, but even that's a questionable thing. Like, everything's so fucking questionable. It hurts my brain. How am I supposed to exist if everything hurts my brain? You know? Nothing actually explains itself for why it exists. That's the biggest problem. It's like a really cool challenge, but someone was just bored. That's why they did it. They didn't do it because it's so fucking important for them to do. It's mind-bendingly important. No, we're just fucking bored. Can you imagine that? They bored and they wanted to learn something. It's the worst part, man. It's the worst part of life. You're bored and you want to shove something in your fucking head. I mean, everyone is in needs of psychology right now, insanity. This is the thing that I started with, right? Maybe I just didn't show it. Because I actually restarted the video. My fucking PC, I think, is fucking heating up like crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'm just feeling it a wrong way, but holy shit. I'm surprised. It's pretty good. Rip off. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Obviously. Wow, I can't rate it? What's going on? Whatever, man. We'll never know. It's so tough, man. Life is so tough when it comes to this. When it comes to making moves that would truly matter in the end. It's like, oh, look, I made a ripoff. What was the point again? Are you gonna work for some kind of company? What's going on here? No, I'm just gonna be a YouTuber for a little bit. I'm gonna make a cool little YouTube video. It's the scariest thing. When the purpose is missing, tier 1 people look better than I do. They look like, oh, they're super hardworking people. We should fucking care about them a lot and all that shit. But in the end, it is just fucking ants. They just built something for me to steal, pretty much, if I ever need it. And if I don't need it, then these are in fact ants that have to be stomped and defeated and all that shit, you know. That whatever they did, I have to do it better, pretty much. And it looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie, actually. Looks pretty good and pretty high effort, and you know, it doesn't glitch like my shit does. But hey, I don't know the potential of my stuff yet. I just don't know it. Honestly don't. Generating terrain should be easy. It's just that part where you render terrain is a little bit questionable, right? How much can you actually render without lag? It was pretty good. I mean, it was high res everything. I wouldn't be able to do it on my thing until I optimized the shit out of it. So that's kind of the disappointing point for me. But I actually want to make a game. And I want to dig deeper into how to make games and not how to make flash moments. And this is a very flash moment, like everything. Everything is explained pretty much. To the point where I don't want to know. I want to figure out by myself. I don't care anymore. Whatever this happens to be. That's pretty cool, right? That's all there is, and it just ends. It's like a spike of effort. Just to challenge yourself, to push random content into your head, and to claim to be a better programmer, when in reality you get the views because you're weird. Wow, dude, huh? You're pretty weird. Congratulations. I love this moment, man, when something new is introduced and it sounds fucking smart, but the way they do it, they brute force it, and it's like, what's the point? Where am I gonna learn when you're brute forcing anything ever? See, that's where fucking stupidity happens every time. You just have to let things happen, actually. It's kind of crazy. Obviously, as long as they're positive, that is. And most things in life are positive. It's actually quite easy to figure out bad intentions that other people have, I would say. Except in Among Us, maybe. Maybe that's the specific place where it even feels bad. Among Us even feels bad because people have negative intentions in general. There's also like the fucking shadow realm, I would say, like where I just create paranoid fear, but I still don't think it's fucking No, okay. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but like, that's not true. I don't think so. It was just a phase. Diagnosed. Oh my god, that's the stupidest fucking thing as well. It feels so hurtful to me, because the reality is, I just said something, and they picked it up, as if it was the craziest thing that, oh my god. I just spit in their face, basically. And they take it. They take it for an illness right there. You know, I just wanted to say something crazy happened in my life. Oh, you don't give a fuck. Okay. But hey, I guess I can make it a positive thing, because I'm now fucking weird. Myself. Being diagnosed with something that's not true, that makes me weird. I like that. And imagine a lot of people who deal with math end up sometimes brute forcing things as well. But they don't actually understand what math is supposed to give them in the end. What's the point? Another fucking bullshit thing yet again to discuss. And it's potentially happening over and over without stopping. The purpose is unachievable for these people. So let's question this very quickly. Maybe I should do it first. Let's do this first. Because it's kind of too easy to not put it on a purpose list, I'm just saying. Alright, first thing first, we have to define what these lines actually are. And that already is very complicated. I wish I could just, check every line ever. Then it's super easy. You just take every point ever and smash it against other points. And then you have like 56. But that's brute force. We actually can't use brute force. I'm sorry. That's not a mathematical thing to do. So we have to define every line. There are two brute force ways, right? There's a hard-coded way, and then there is a quick-coded, I would say. The brute way. We need to find something else. Something else that these lines have in common, and those cannot exist by the same rules. Those three assholes, basically, that would come out of every point. But then it's like every point has 3 lines. We can use that as well in our advantage. But actually every point has 2 lines, or even less, because there are actually 12 lines in total. So how do we turn 8 into 12? That is the question, isn't it? Already, that's a crazy question. However, we do have something that represents a 6. We have 6 walls. Here we go. That's a nice place to start. What if we take every wall and we take this piece of the wall? Do we get a result then? I think the result actually got already cancelled. It probably doesn't even depend which pieces. If I take all of them symmetrically, it's not gonna work very well. I can also try vertically, but then it doesn't work either. Now we can take this wall and that wall and then add 4 together, but it's almost like doing the same thing with corners. So this is pretty epic, I would say. I would stop there and just admire how difficult the puzzle truly is. My god, is this amazing. However, we probably do want to do the 8 times 7 route, simply because we might be able to cancel a few lines before they even happen. Right, so if there's a line here, I don't know. What if we label the points as they normally would be labeled? This is usually the regular way. So, I'm also not exactly sure if that's actually the usual way. We have to look it up. The usual way to do top and bottom, which is why it goes like this. 0, 3, 2, 1. So we start with 0 first of all. Top and bottom. This is the top portion, I believe. That's kind of fascinating. So 4, 5, 6, 7. And 0, 3 to 1. So it does matter which way it goes. And I'm pretty sure it actually goes like this. But what it's trying to say, it's like it's going like this, so you have to keep going up. And if it goes clockwise, however, it goes down. That's what it's trying to say with the numbers. Now, if we look at the numbers, we get +3 from this point, +1 and +4. From this point, we get +4, -1. So already, this is kind of weird already. We might not be able to... Oh. We should be able to at least discount anything that's plus more than 4. So we should be able to discount that. We can also discount something that is just +2. So already we discounted everything. Here we go. Was it hard? Doesn't seem so. So we have to discount everything that's more than 5. 5 or more. And we have to discount 2. And that's it. And it's the same. 2 of a difference, basically. Plus or -2. Here we go. That's a little bit nasty, I would say. Now, is it worth being optimistic and search for another result? That's the real question. If we can redefine these lines somehow differently. But I don't think so. Oh, one thing that happens as well. The corners are actually different when we do the cube corners. Because we do it like this. Meaning that it's not hard-coded, basically. This would be a hard-coded. There's a different approach when it comes to corners like this. I think it goes like this. So there is 1 and 2. Actually, it does... Oh. This is 1 or 3. Yeah. It does not work. So we still will have a bunch of crossing lines. So we're going to have extra lines. It's going to be 16 lines. So we could be positive about there being another solution to this. Because the way the corners are being checked, going X is 1. Going Y is actually 2. And going Z is actually 4. So, this is the solution tree, pretty much. How you would do the cube, using a special function, let's put it this way. Where Z, Y, and X has their own values. because that makes all the values different pretty much. And when you go from 0 to 8, you get the idea. Like, it's pretty cool when you add these together different ways you get, or like, let's put it this way, there's a switch right there, whether you want this value. There's a binary switch for these things, so you can apply this here. That's the function. Now, using this binary switch, what can we see from here? Because now the same thing cannot be applied. I don't think I see anything. But I might know what to expect, however. Right, if I'm positive z, if I'm above these numbers, I might expect certain type of movement. But yeah, I'll probably just keep the x's. What else can I do? Because we kind of use points. How are we supposed to use lines for this thing? I don't see it, man. Also, interestingly enough, we could maybe take certain corners. So if we take this corner, it actually triggers 3 lines. Can we build it out of corners? Because it's 12, right? So already this is actually looking pretty interesting. I think I can pick up 4 corners like this and construct a cube using specific movements, right? And we kind of know what movements we need to make. If this is a positive, we go negative, and we kind of turn off all the switches pretty much. Whatever was turned on in terms of this binary switch. So that I think is a perfect solution, actually. That's pretty interesting. A perfect solution. And it took me a while. And it took me to actually remind myself that binary switching is important. And now we are here. So it takes tremendous amount of patience with a puzzle to find a perfect solution. A perfect solution where there's nothing extra. There's nothing sticking out. The only problem is picking up hard-coded pieces, which is very hard-coded. These corners of the cube, very hard-coded. And again, it doesn't have to be cube, it's just 6 walls stitched together. Alright. Very hard-coded. Cool. So we actually even know their names. 0356. Is that correct? Yes, that's supposed to be correct. Potentially there's a specific way to actually even travel through the cube to pick those up. So you can tell it's kind of wacky, I would say. We go diagonally every single time. Wacky. Alright. But yeah, okay, so let's see how the code looks like. One more thing is like, okay, how do we apply these functions? I think we do it twice, like this. So this is OR gate, this is AND gate. I think I can use OR gate, where it combines the number together if one is missing. So it actually looks for every switch, and it adds every switch if one is missing. So in case this will become 1, 4, and 2. In terms of 5, however, so after you do it, you get the result here. But with 5, how do we extract numbers, actually? So I think... Oh, this is a tough one. I'm noticing that down here I can use AND function to gain 1 and 4. And I can gain the same thing with 5. It will actually return 4 and 1. So that works here. How about here? With the AND function, can we return... Oh, but we cannot do it with 5 and 2. Even though it's supposed to get 7, it would give us 2, which is pretty bad. So now we have to find a specific switch function that would help us out easily. Because we can always detect, like, okay, 5 has 2 switches, right? 1 and 4. And we can switch one of them off. We can switch this on, and we can switch this off. Potentially that's how we have to do it. We should split this thing into switches and then try and switch them actually. So in reality, I'm realizing I'm missing a specific function. Not this, not this. Something that would switch with 1. Basically turn 1 on or off based on what already exists. So if it's already on, when I'll use this function, it's gonna spit out 4. I don't want to turn this into 1. This is because it doesn't have 1. Or has it? It's complicated, right? Because the other ones would be fucked up so badly. Anyways, let's find this function. So there's another one of those exactly for that. If we look it up, is a switch. If this is 0, it becomes 1. If this is 1, it becomes 0. That's the one. That's the one that I needed. I was trying to invent something, but I'm glad it's there. Thank God. The switching deal. So there are 3 switches that we need to create. We do it with the same corner, and then we create a bunch of lines with that. So now I'm kind of realizing even putting everything on the screen is a little bit of a big problem of its own. Because I'm not putting things onto a grid, which I normally use. You know, point to grid. I would have to use point to screen. It's a different thing. I even use screen to ray, but not point to screen. Actually, point to grid actually contains point to screen. So I'm not sure what I'm talking about in this sense. Maybe I'm just tired. It actually contains that. So if I look up helpers maybe? Where is it? Okay, it's down here. It has point to screen. And it's actually quite a simple function too. Alright, point to screen it is. Now I'm kind of, bumped out that all of these things have to go to the screen, they have to turn into lines. It's not exactly super duper convenient, of all things. And it doesn't explain why it doesn't work all of a sudden as well. That is the weirdest part about this. What's going on anyways? So, I never thought I was gonna have to bring back my hospital adventures. But there's one demon that I found that's very fascinating. It's Undone Bed Demon. It's the craziest one. I don't give a fuck about my bed. I'm sorry. Yes, it's nice to have maybe one layer of sheets always ready for takeoff. Cause you have to be ready when you're gonna be sleeping. But that's it. One sheets. The actual sheet that you use to put on your body. I don't. You get it. That one does not matter, but it can actually turn into a demon apparently, and bother a bunch of people. Very, very much. It's hard. It's a hard topic. Cause it's like, well, it bothers you, but it has no reason to bother you. What is it? A fucking religion? Ridiculous. Well, it doesn't take that much, you know. Well, it stacks. It doesn't take that much. But it stacks with other demons. Wow, what a good fucking demon voice. Let's just stack it. It definitely stacks. It definitely stacks with all the responsibilities that you might have generally. And there's all these reasons that come out of their mouths as an attack against the stack. No, for the stack. Well, you have to follow all these religions. You have to be compliant. It's totally fine. It's not gonna cause any trouble whatsoever. Yeah. Because if something is not problematic, and I'm talking about realistically speaking, not just because other people find it problematic. You know. Oh no, you found a problem. I wish I could find it too, but it's invisible. What do I do? What are we gonna do? We gonna conflict about it? Some people would actually do it. Just go ahead and conflict about invisible things. When something is not problematic, we might not want to find a problem unless we're looking for problems, you know, specifically. If we're not looking for problems, then it's fine. I mean, life is pretty dynamic, so you never know when you're gonna need it. But no. The invisible things. I'm sure we're gonna come up with better invisible things in that sense. You know, I'm pretty good at imagination already, since I have to sit in one room forever and ever and ever, for infinity and eternity, in one room, being this fucking golden person basically. Just find me. Just figure out where I am, what I'm into. Just find me, because believe me, I'm quite normal. I have interacted with every person in the book, and they can't quite be normal. Oh, I guess I just have my environment. My internet. Everything's mine. That's what makes it normal. I don't know. Anyways, I wanted to yeah, so we have that. I know how it works now, so I don't need it. We might want to go back to the rule book, which is pretty simple rule book. Dodge bad emotions. Because it's easy to dodge. It's literally catapulted. You can't miss it. You know, if something is catapulted, no one even intended to actually hit you. But I call these people fucking snipers, because they're so confident about it. You know? So they drop bad emotions like, wow, I will definitely fucking hurt this guy. You know, that's cool. And then the separation. I will be angry. How the fuck do you make an angry face? I guess Chinese face works just fine. Alright. Asian face. Alright. That's cool. What else do we have? This one bothers me the most still. The point of view, because it always knocks at my door. And asks me to figure out what matters for me as a person. I have to take care of myself very, very deeply. At some point it becomes fucking weird. It's like, well, me as a person has been randomly generated. If I just allow it to manifest the way it truly is, I will lose myself just the same way as I would lose myself if I let other people contribute to my point of view too much of what things I have to follow and how I have to behave. This is why it bothers me, because I introduced it, this whole thing, through the entry point here more than once now. More than once, point of view, just something that sticks out somehow. And then the simple principle of stacking. Figure this shit out. It's very difficult to stack things, because at some point you reach the top and you're like, whoops, now I have to start all over again. And that is exactly correct. You do have to start all over again after you stack to the top. After your system basically crumbles down. So potentially, you know, the things that I'm building here, I might want to rebuild them. Or quickly switch one piece with the other. It's actually possible to do that. You make a perfect piece and you switch them real fast. Or maybe that's just a method of compilation that I'm being tricked all along as a programmer, you know, to do all this stuff in the first place. Maybe half of the stuff is unnecessary, garbage. Who knows? Who knows? There's a reason to question things. So it's very nice to establish simple rules. Is there a way to test these rules? And to know, like, what rules am I following in life? But the more you say in life, like, I can bring back a tier list or something, but I don't know. What am I gonna do with this? This is literally even more important than anything else. Way more important somehow. The ability to keep distance from things, that's pretty good. That shows an ability to keep freedom for yourself. The ability to dodge other people's, attempts into ultra mega social experiment, right? Of influence. Dodge other people's influence. Very important. Oh, it's just a joke, bruh. You know? No, it's not. So you not only have to keep the distance, you have to also dodge influence. Because if they throw a poop ad in here and you fucking can't see it, you can pretend that you have kept your distance, but it stinks. And it hurts in the end. So, have to learn to do that as well. So there's you're not in that special spot where things are just like there's everywhere there's a spotlight and you're sitting in a fucking shadow thrown by someone. Oh, I can just put a shadow and he's not gonna fucking care. These two are a little bit harder to actually understand because they don't follow the same thing of like, oh, just dodge and avoid. No, these principles are actually positive, pretty much, not negative. But there's a weird thing, isn't it? We found a negative, which is earth and water, and then the positive. Or so you would think it's positive. But it's fire and wind are quite negative elements in general, so their principles are positive. I would say that makes sense. Yeah, otherwise they wouldn't exist. Fire wouldn't exist unless it actually gives something positive. Even though it's quite negative in general, it's quite demanding. So, in order to stack, it's quite demanding that you reset every time. Every time to spark a fire, starts completely from scratch, and you have to establish fuel formation pretty much. Imagine that. Even that fucking works. What about the wind? I don't know. Don't ask me. It's as weird as it gets already. That we used wind to propel this whole thing forward. And again, it just gives us a better understanding of the elements, I suppose. What makes things solid? Because they don't mix around, basically. The atoms just don't walk around randomly anymore. They sit in their places. That's what makes it so solid. Earth. Amazing. I hate Earth. So I will just keep it as a fucking triangle. Oh wait, I would hate myself then. And this is a shitty triangle. You know? It's like water deserves it. But because there's such solid symbolism for this and such weird and curvy symbolism for this one, that's its own unique thing, I guess. Alright. So I want to use these 4 principles to actually find hidden superpowers, if we can have. Because if point of view gives a superpower so easily for me, personally, I'm sure there are ways to actually trigger understanding of the world a little bit better, but it's gonna be deep. This topic is definitely gonna be deep. Because if something is empowering you, you have to invest quite a bit into it to actually get there. And not make it fake. So, point of view. And it's scary. Because, like, you realize you look back and you were not empowered back in the day. But now you will be empowered. And your life changes dramatically. And are you ready for the change yet again? Are you willing to actually reset something that you stacked against yourself? All this stuff. Like, imagine I am stacking against myself the need to build an engine, right? But at any point, someone can just figure out how to help me exactly. You know, they found the exact engine that would help me. Very unlikely. Possible. But at this point, I'm just like, nah. Nah, you can You can shove it in your ass. Pretty sure about that at this point. Especially when I'll spend all the time, or a lot of the time, just trying to figure out if there's even better solution to how I can use my engine. Because there's always solutions. But, I don't know. It could ask me to sacrifice like extrusion a little bit. Or it could ask me to make specific like microblock thingies where I make objects out of little blocks or something. That would be cool. I wouldn't mind that. You know, like extrusion looks cool, but what if I made microblock objects entirely? Then it's just entirely cool. Everything's entirely cool and flexible. I don't know. Well, it's not the worst thing. It's not very useful, which is why I don't do it, and I'm not excited about doing it. I'm just thinking about it in case it was actually good. As a solution, there's a lot to think about, you know, and now I'm bumping into a lot of fucking problems generally. So how important is it for me to break down the code and literally break down every repetitive part or something that sticks out as just tiny bit too long than it's supposed to be? Tiny bit too long, tiny bit already predetermined by something else. Because at some point I have came up with a rule of how to do certain things, so I'm not supposed to write numbers. I've already came up with the rule of how it's gonna work. So why am I, hard coding anything? But at the same time, where am I gonna just write this rule down? Because I have to, if I write down a rule, it has to be reused. That's another principle that's very important. So that's the way the engine is being built. You have to inject rules into the engine that would be learned by me and be reused over and over again because they're so flexible too. That sort of stuff is impossibly difficult to invent. Okay, this shit is like next level of programming, which for me is just, again, I kind of do follow this principle of stacking in a way that potentially I just go deeper though, so I'm not sure if I like it. But that's a good start to actually question it, I would say, whether I'm doing it correctly. Because maybe I'm just digging a hole for myself and not stacking anything. Maybe the way you do stacking is about principles that you do daily principles. Because the biggest fireball in our lives is a fucking sun, the biggest fire emitter ever. Fire, heat, whatever you think you know about fire, pretty much sun has it, because it's a fireball, and it literally doesn't even attack or require fuel or anything. It's the most magical ball of fire there has ever been. Like, what? What is that? That is madness. Is the moon made out of wind, though? I would love that, dude. That would be the greatest stuff of my life, man. Oh, but the moon is made out of wind. How does that fucking make sense? Is that the Tidemaster? The moon? I don't know. I want to learn more of these weird properties that these fucking balls have. I wish they had more properties, So the sun wouldn't be so obvious and moons wouldn't be so fucking mysterious. Stupid moon. Everyone hates moon. What if moon actually creates darkness? Can you imagine that? Can you for a second imagine that darkness can actually be created? Not by just throwing a shadow, but by a certain darkness source. There is no light or darkness. But, I mean, it's too easy to just say that, you know, either there is something or there is a lack of something. So there is light or there is a lack of light. There is no such thing as darkness. I'm so sorry. So I don't know, man. Moon has to step up his game and figure out what the fuck is supposed to be doing out there. Because I need some superpowers. And I ain't getting any right now. Only from the sun for some reason. I think sun pretty stupid then. But you know, we'll never know. Unless maybe this rule actually gives us... Nope. No, I don't know. So yeah. But what we thought about is daily. A daily activity. That you have to stack up together to recognize what kind of priorities you have. And most importantly, have to keep yourself free so that your daily stuff actually starts working perfectly. Your daily routine starts working perfectly. That nothing can ever happen. Yes, that means you are not ready for any event in your life because that would ruin your daily routine. Can you imagine that? No event. You can show up for a few minutes if that means a social cause of some kind that you have to do, but everything has to be somewhat predictable in that sense too. That's what makes stacking so valuable. It's also very predictable and very wanted, I would say. Sun is a very wanted thing that everyone wants. So we have to follow the sun's principle as best as we can. Just like every other principle. And here you go. Ultimate power. Well, with incredible amount of responsibility too. If you figure out how to follow this principle to begin with. You know, it's one thing to learn what empowers you, and another thing to actually empower yourself, which will again push you into making a lot of changes. Now, because the world is so fucking weird, and now we're gonna go to point of view. The world is fucking weird. Holy shit. There's so many things that I can do right now. Although I do just think about porn right now, so. But you can look up on the internet almost anything. At all times. The question is, how do you search for it? I think that's a very interesting question in general. But before that, okay. Create a unstoppable daily routine. Literally unstoppable. If you can make it unstoppable, then you understand jobs do not exist. Only nuisance exists. Only slavery exists. When you really sign up for it. But technically, those things are not supposed to exist because they're not set up on expectations whatsoever. Alright? They try to create an expectation of themselves for themselves, but not for you, which is why you still have to follow the point of view to understand this daily activity. Because, like, you know, a factory can have a daily activity and you're kind of just contributing to the factory, but no, the factory is actually very demanding of you to change your stack of how it once. You know, like, just like the time of 1433, these principles are out there to get you down here. Very much to get you. And if you don't get that, then the government is out there to inject its perspective. And even if you dodge that, then someone is gonna get offended. And they will cancel you. So don't worry about it. And don't worry about it. Being cancelled, it is gonna be the worst thing that ever happened to you. Because potentially, people don't mess around in Tier 4. If you know what I mean. In Tier 4, people don't mess around. They'll make you disappear. Anyways. So, we're gonna start off slow. That's a pretty good starting point, I would say. This is literally the end point. It's literally a principle that people think they can just get rid of right now, potentially. So, well, it's not a time for this principle, so we can just shove a few walls in here, which is not what this principle is about. I don't think there is a negative principle. It can just look negative. Alright. Because it's trying to achieve something obvious, but it's not telling what it actually achieves, right? It says something to you because you asked, but it's not, revealing the true value of this thing. So that's pretty cool. Alright, point of view. The final verdict of how powerful this thing is. I like it, man. I just scribble a bunch of circles and it becomes a stronger circle. Here you go. And it's not like I stacked something, because, stacking wouldn't help. There's still garbage. What's happening here? Nah, maybe it is stacking, though. Why would you dodge something that sticks anyways? If you stack enough times, you find a perfect shape that you always wanted. So you have to do it over and over again. Erase enough mistakes to find, persistence. But we did do it with a circle. We did symbolize this with a circle. So maybe we can actually squeeze a point of view in there, in this principle. Let's figure out what this is. First of all, let's mark the hour. Point of view. The problem with this is now declared as more of a daily routine, right? But there's a deeper root system buried beneath. A principle system. A point of view also allows you to adopt all those things that you care about. That you have decided that you truly care about this stuff. Now the question is, who are you, first of all? And immediately, it's very uncomfortable, I would say. Who am I? Well, if you don't define yourself as anything, it's gonna be very difficult to actually find a point of view. And everything shuts down. If you define yourself as God, then you're actually ignoring most of the reality. Because, well, just be God then. Good luck, So you can see how stacking experience is its own thing, which could play very nicely with this, because you have to first define yourself here of who you are. Pretty much the ultimate base of possibilities. Now, it can be just like this, I guess. And you can pretend to be God. That's what it would mean to be God. It's, I can just hold it with this plate. I don't have to try hard to define myself, Because I'm God. It's just, I'll make it easy for myself. Why? Well, I guess that's the point, right? Because that's how the government gets you to believe that, oh, you just have to be working for the government. It's fine to work for the government, just like a normal job. That's a point of view completely obliterated. No, it's not a normal job to work for the government. A normal job is normal. Just do functions in society. And those functions pretty much not supposed to have any moral ground, basically. It's not supposed to be something you would question, or you would be able to question, or other people would question, or dislike you for it. You know, uploading videos is not something other people can actually dislike, unless they bump into a video that they don't quite like. But what's the point of disliking that? Well, you can always run away, unless that video actually has influence. And yet again, it's a weird thing. Obviously, the worst offender of point of view is getting into some kind of war zone and putting yourself in danger, because now you define yourself as dead meat. I don't know, as a sacrifice for your country or something. That's a pretty low-level definition. Maybe it has very nice base, though. You can stack almost anything, so you will pretty much stack a lot of weird, demonic things on yourself. Because you're a sacrifice. You're a big balloon. You know? You're a big balloon. You have to really think about, what are you defining yourself as? Because it's gonna help you almost like find roots in these pieces of experience. You know, it will find motivation for you. It's a big deal. What else do we have in terms of point of view? I'll dig deep, because I need to know just a tiny bit more about this one. Because the main principle is obviously take care of yourself and what you can do now. Not just something you will find at the screen, necessarily. And a few more Tetris blocks are gonna fall down in your brain and will be placed somewhere just because you saw something. You know, you have to really expect inspiration, empowerment, all those things. So, but most importantly, you should be able to define yourself as somewhat very, very close to God, but not quite. Because the only thing that God would do would give you this, if you define yourself as God. Because God is undefined. You can't quite define what God is by saying God. That's the problem. And it's not like super unholy power or anything. It has to be able to define itself. If it's God, right? Yeah, you're God, but you still have to follow the rule of defining what it is. Please. Because the moment God actually happens, it will undefine everything and will pretty much destroy everything. And it's pretty much as good. You're as good as dead. Because it would want to just give you a little plate, give you shit amount of confidence, and then trick you, and everything falls down and crushes you, basically. So it's you basically setting yourself up for death by saying that. But there is a trick thing that you can do, right? You let yourself put a plate. You let yourself be tricked. And you take some kind of form of just maybe exploring this would just have created naturally, because like you want to trick yourself. Okay, I'm God, but that doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to do anything. You know, you still would create yourself into a sacrifice format or something. You would still go out there and approach closer and closer to trouble, but then more questions will rise. Should I really do this? You know, that sort of stuff. Now that could be quite empowering. Put on a tiny plate, and you just kind of remove it, because that is way more interesting. If you actually care about something, it cannot be a trap anymore. You know, it was given to you as a trap, but in reality it worked out quite well. So you defined God is God something that you really, really want, but then something else happened. God is something like tiny. I'll become an ant whenever I want. But for some reason, you didn't become an ant. And now it will create a bunch of questions. And that's the trick. I don't know, man. It's something really cool about point of view that I'll keep learning. And most importantly, all those definitions that come from outside of who you are, telling who you are basically, they just bounce off. They have nowhere to enter, because you're basically tricking yourself and untricking yourself. You did all the work, you figured out how to do it, so no one can actually, they just have to do the same thing pretty much. That's the only move left. When you truly follow your point of view, other people have to do the same thing. Because if they want to trick you or they want to fucking manipulate you, they have to also switch the point of view to your point of view for that moment. For that special moment of just being demon assholes. And sitting in your head for a moment. Wow, what a wonderful time we're gonna have if you're gonna do that. Yes, there's something that breaks this rule at some point, potentially. But we don't have to even think about it. We just have to think about that other rules are just gonna fix everything. So, who cares, right? Now, what are these guys trying to achieve truly? Right? It's probably the saying of like, most of the time you have to keep your distance. Most of the time. But what's the point? Please tell me the point. What is this? What is this, man? I'm seeing a pointer. Where is the point? There's a ton of crap over here. You must be able to defeat before you get to the point of why you have been ignoring people or dodging people this whole time. Why is it actually more important than accepting what people do and accepting how people approach you? Right? This is way more important. But why? Why would this be important? It's not like you have to reinforce these rules any more than they already reinforced. It has to be its own unique rule. Alright. Can you learn something about a person based on the boundaries that you set them and the way that you have to dodge someone? Because potentially that is the magical trick, I would say. If you stay in your box, and this is fucking, it breaks my heart, dude. If you stay in your box, if you stay in your mom's basement, nothing's bad gonna happen to you. I assure you. But the moment you step out The moment you become close to someone else, but the thing that gave you life, pretty much, that gave you space, that defined where you should be at all times, you're gonna be in trouble. You're gonna be in a lot of trouble. You're gonna be in so much unimaginable trouble that you better be fucking ready. And you better hope that it was nature that brought you there, so you can actually come back. Because coming back is that much more difficult. You don't know if you can come back. The ability to actually stay in your place and feed your mom one more day of life. Because usually that's what happens. Moms would actually give a fuck about you. You know, you have to figure out how to stay in your place. Yes, your place might not be easily defined as a basement. But holy shit. Apparently this rule exists. And it's a very tough rule. Maybe back in the war times we would sit in our basements because we wouldn't have anything better to do. Maybe back in the day. So war times were this thing. But back in the day, we would sit in our basements because we would play games in our basements. Okay, it was the gaming generation. The true gamers generation. Fuck yeah, dude. We would just sit. I would do that! I would remember doing that as a kid. You know? It was a normal thing to do. To come over, play some games. Fucking fantastic. Right now we're not doing that ever again, potentially, so fuck yeah, dude. But we would do that. We would just have our spaces and we actually worship our spaces too. But now it's not so obvious. People can actually lie to you and push you out of the zone that you have. You know, when someone comes, they have to quickly leave as well. Especially if they're potentially under attack. But most importantly of all, those people who brag about having all these jobs, and whenever they just trigger that one simple thing, it's like, well, go out of your most basement, start separating yourself. I'm sorry, you have killed yourself. Congratulations, basically. There is no such thing as a solution to a problem. No. To a problem like, oh, I can't live with my mom anymore. Well, if I can't, well, that's it. That's game over for me. Because I have to kind of just give up to the person who gave me life again. Just, well, you figured everything out. You felt everything. All your hopes and dreams and everything. I'm holding in them right now. So you might want to wake up one day and do some work. So I could go one step forward and expand my, field a little bit. Not my point of view, my framework. Where I work, what do I do, what kind of people I work with, what enters my framework sometimes, and then goes back around because, like, fuck off, you know? Everyone needs their privacy. Everyone needs this shit. This is actually incredibly deep. Incredibly frustrating on how many attacks have been received from this fucking thing. But holy shit, right? Now I'm feeling I'm approaching God mode, because like this is as close as you can get without breaking your mind completely. I just revealed 3 out of 4 super duper empowering rules, I would say. That, on the contrary, say, life's pretty easy, just don't fuck it up, asshole. Just don't fuck it up. I mean, I'm sorry. You fucked it up? Terrifying, isn't it? Now, when it comes to my video, you might do want to try and put it into your, field of influence. I'm talking about bad emotions. Bad emotions. What are bad emotions? We have to figure out. What is bad influence? Because you want to dodge bad influence, and you don't quite have to care about the good influence. The good influence is everywhere when you just filter things out. It's just everywhere, pretty much. Because when it comes to like watching a YouTube video, you can pretty much gain good influence first 15 seconds, I don't know, something like that. Everyone has their meters of good versus bad. If someone is promoting you something, you have to skip ASAP. If you see an ad, you have to skip. You know it's bad influence and it's fucking terrifying and garbage. Don't let ads attack you. I made this mistake. I'm like, okay, let's on purpose. Let the ads do their trick. But at some point, it's just so exhausting. It's like it's always a new thing. It's always out of control. It's trying to present itself as a trend, but it's created by the creators. So it's not a second-hand knowledge of something. It's not prepared properly. It's just a trendy little thing because creators were so anxious to actually release all their frustration of making something a reality. You know, everything is a frustration in a way, and I think ads is a good reason to understand this rule. Just ads alone and why they're just never going away. People are fucking frustrated, and you have to laugh the shit out of that. They're so frustrated. It's like, I put so much work. Oh my god, I put so much work and you fucking ignore me? You're never gonna ignore me again. Okay? And then just drop a piano on your head, basically. You like that? Oh my god. Oh my god, I hope it hurts. That's the fucking thing that makes a difference. The oh my god, I hope you like it versus I hope it truly hurts you and you're a miserable person after I've done that. You know? And it's always a questionable thing. What do you do with a person who's promoting your garbage? Who's spending time for garbage pretty much as well? It's very questionable. But we have to figure it out. Because it bothers me. Simple. Everyone's capable of doing wonderful things. And I'm a public person. I uploaded every video of my thoughts. Unless I have been censored by YouTube. But YouTube never said anything. So I wasn't. You know, I have to discover that somehow. As if I was making videos, but I was not making videos this whole time. This is the coolest thing ever that YouTube has created. You know, well, you have been doing so much work, but you haven't actually done all the work anyways, you know. There was a little bit of work missing here and there, you know. Oh, that's cool. I wish you knew what that was. Because I thought I was making videos, and none of that is true anymore. But it's probably true, and it's probably not going away from YouTube unless they actually decide to delete channels randomly, just bomb them. I'm sure YouTube authorities are gonna start fucking chill their faces when they realize the reality of just the vast ocean of YouTube videos that could have been watched, could have been trending, but they never saw the light of day or something. That's a humbling experience to have. I wish them the best to handle that pain. But, yeah, so how do we handle ads? How do we handle the idea that everyone wants to influence us so badly? Everyone wants to invade our lives one way or the other. And that's the other way of doing it, pretty much. Making you think that there is something for you, basically. But no, they just open their mouth because they just want it so bad. For you to visit them, basically, and get ripped off because they set up a bunch of traps. You know, it's a completely different system, but it's pretty much similar to this one, anyways. It's just this is what you have to keep on check, so that you don't leave your space. But here you want to keep in check that you don't enter other people's spaces who have prepared everything against you. But that's another way to look at it. I don't like it, because it brings me back to like the same rule of why you have to keep distance. You shouldn't be too excited, basically. You shouldn't be too excited. You should get most of the stuff. When people are trying to influence you, you know, if there's a book is not gonna bite you. A book is not gonna throw you off a cliff. So that's probably a good start point. A book. How about that? That's not something out of control or out of the ordinary. Which is why this old school methodology to treat this thing as a book, treat everyone as a book potentially. That's the real principle. Everyone who influences you, because influence can be just someone coming in and leaving something, and let's see what that does, right? Or doing something, because it could also cause a certain memory thing, and now all of a sudden they have successfully invaded your space, but you didn't quite left, and you kept distance, and everything was correct, but somehow they were able to snipe your feelings. And that's why these things are separated. They are operating on different layers of rules, I guess. So you have to treat people as a book, as something like, if you have a question, they can answer it properly. They're not completely secretive about things, for example. Because, you know, a book is like, well, it holds no secrets. It might just be difficult to figure out things, but you keep progressing forward. It's not in this page, and not in this page. But it's even better than that, because, like, a person is way better than a book. We just have to assume that, too. They're just upgraded book. But still as harmless as a book. You have to expect as harmless as a book situation where you can fully control this whole situation. That's the way you're gonna dodge it. If you keep identifying things you can actually control. Or where people actually rape you with their intentions, pretty much. They just force you to look at something, or force you to know something, and if they're not being reasonable with you, that's fucking weird. You go into a library and you're reasonably looking for a specific book, but yes, a person is randomly generated most of the time. A stranger is randomly generated. So if you say yes to that, like, you have to know how to read a random book. Okay. So it's a really cool fucking principle of just treating a person as a book, I would say. And when you see an ad, a book has been thrown at you, and it already hurts, man. Fucking flying books, that's not a book. Fuck that shit. You skip an ad. You don't need an ad. Especially, I hate reading, so man, I would hate if books are flying at me. Most definitely. I can look into a book, it's not harmful. You know, that's the way to look at it. You know, a book can present itself, it's compelling, maybe I would read one line out of that book. Maybe I read the most amazing meme that book has to offer, pretty much. And maybe it will open up its own, wings, and will make me want to explore more. And that first impression is also really super duper important. That first impression is also like interactive. This is why, again, you have to treat it as a book. It has to be interactive, where it allows you to do something, and you choose to do it or not to do it. It's your choice. That's the greatest thing to learn about this principle. I love this now. I don't know how to connect all of them. It's already fucking overwhelming, I would say. But it's just very, very satisfying to know. There are ways to improve your life, basically. Very simple ways. Very crazy ways. Because they're big. Massive. And they're just sitting there. What do? I want to share this journey with someone else, obviously. And I'm not sure how that's done, necessarily. Maybe that's one of those key things when you do fully explore these principles and they open up everything to you. Because people are constantly making mistakes simply by not perfecting themselves first. They will keep making mistakes. And those mistakes can stack up. They can break your point of view. If you stack mistakes, it's just a pile of shit. Alright? It's a pile of shit. You want to stack experience. And it's not like you're gonna have a very good point of view if you just suck in everyone else's point of view. Right? Whatever everyone else is doing. You have to read every comment, basically, about you. That's your job. There's so many more liberating things deep down here that I'm just getting started. And that's the scary thing. We'll see how this video ends. I hate it. I mean, I would love to work on my project right now. Except that it's not going anywhere. Because I'm still not secure of how powerful it is. Sadly. I would love to just go back to good old ray tracing. Good old school ray tracing. I would love to go back, by the way. Looked pretty good. It didn't lag and had good resolution and everything. Didn't present many problems to me as it does right now. Good old ray tracer. Wow. Why did I ever betray it? Well, it had to be done. Sadly, unfortunately. I probably have all the powers to come back too. But I always want something better at each time, because I think it's always possible. And it's always like, maybe this principle, you can use it differently. Not daily. It's just a nice little way to use this principle to break things, I would say. To break misconceptions about life. So I can always use this to try and break my previous record of how I render things, right? But just change a few things, and I find that better method at some point. All I need to do is just grab enough knowledge, general knowledge, and then start stacking it carefully. Pretty simple, right? That's what happens generally with the engine. I discover this and that and this and that, stack it all together, and the result happens. So normally just keep learning is a good idea. Keep grinding. And then at some point you stack. So before you stack, there's still a hidden principle of just grinding, I guess. Grind it. But it's not quite hidden, because the stacks have to be like super duper solid, and they have to be super duper smart, and it requires a lot of, well, experience, because it is made out of experience, after all. And you need extra experience in order to handle it properly as well. Anyways, that's cool. That's cool. There's a lot to learn beyond that, because we can always, look into the real world examples, and every single time we solve one of those, it probably will give us even more insight in one of these things are. It's almost like a perfect weapon to empower your life. You basically have a bag that's gonna sort everything. It's gonna help you give an insight on what to do. So that's cool. Way better than money. Am I right? Fuck yeah, dude. Do you want to listen to MatPat telling you what kind of pizza to eat? When you probably... at the end of my video, watching this thing... I don't know, man. I don't know if I learned anything. He tried. He tried his best. But here... Yes, it's still a lot of work, but it should actually inspire you to finally do it. Finally do the work that you need to do. Pick up this bag, learn these simple rules. Now, how would you fucking trust these rules? Is there a reason to trust these rules? Normally, rules are recursive, right? So, if I just ask whether you can trust it, you'll be able to just find it here. What rules to follow to be able to trust this thing? First of all, it's for you to decide whether you can trust it or not. I cannot tell it to you. It's an interactive thing as well. I just gave you all the material that I have and I was impressed by. I try to, squeeze as much of it as possible into one video, so it has all the context. And, I don't know. What is this? COVID right now? What is this? So, can you trust it? Well, I did not invade your space. I do not know nothing about you. I know everything about myself. I hope you feel that. See? All the rules I have followed naturally. So that's probably something you might want to learn. Maybe there's something beyond that we haven't found. But for me, things usually they don't automatically fix themselves, but they somehow become very badass on their own terms. They just grow. So naturally, seeds can look differently for different people. They can find different principles to follow, but essentially those will grow into something that can't just be different anymore. It's harder and harder to be different. It will find its perfect or very high level shape. That would create a conflict of just like, why would it be different? That sort of conflict. If you want to fly, have wings. We were talking about this kind of principle, right? How else are you gonna fly? It's crazy, but it's so simple and so I don't know. Smiley is what I wanted to say, but fuck it, you know. It is what it is. Damn, too bad this is the first video that I've seen. It's pretty crazy from Mr. Beast, man. Not only he announces, like, oh, let's open up a fake restaurant. Oh no, it's actually real and all over the country. And you can order all these, our favorite burgers, basically. What the hell is this, man? Mr. Beast, all around the world, opened up. No, not all around the world. All around the US. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, that was weird. Because now I'm kind of thinking about Tier 1 versus Tier 2 again. And Mr. Beast is a YouTuber. But he's such a fucking business owner at this point that it feels like a competition, honestly. I mean, at some point he's gonna beat PewDiePie, right? There's no way that his work will stop here, you know, at 50 mil or whatever. Alright, whatever. I'm thrown away by this one. He's just not stopping, that's the crazy part. It's just so weird. And while he's making flash moves, he's also making business moves by opening up restaurants, which is crazy. It's almost like, you know, now it's a real deal. Now it's a real deal, dude. What do I mean by that? That's how a virus really looks like, basically, okay? But no, people are excited about something, I'm sure, and it's just gonna be a trend, and people are gonna be like, what the fuck is YouTube? How do we figure this system out? You know, like, what? It really opens you up to do these weird things. And at the same time, it might inspire YouTubers to become business people and have a purpose. I wanted to bring Mr. Beast down to a YouTuber level, but I can't do it anymore. So, congratulations. Whoops. I think the most important part about life is understanding that you regain your freedoms with technology. So just because YouTube became old technology doesn't mean that we cannot find something better. Just because Minecraft does not fucking matter anymore as much as it used to doesn't mean there's nothing to replace it with. Alright, in the future. We always hurry for the new iPhone, but we should just double appreciate the ability to improve significant things like these, you know? And we should be on our toes to actually jump in and learn a new thing. I mean, Discord is one of those things, and I'm like, whoopsie, did you miss it? Is everyone missing it right now? Well, good luck. Good luck getting back on track. Alright, I do have to make a change, I think. The Love Zone, when it's cold. So when I ping people, if it's actually a little bit colder, what is it, the heat is below 0, I hate it, man. I hate programming, because I know there's something better out there. Better ways to do it. Okay, you need 2 and 1. It's almost like I grabbed something and put it here. Like a multiplier. Plugged it in. Man, I will miss visual coding forever, dude. Until it actually happens. It's literally my next leap of faith, I would say. And maybe I'm just dumb enough to actually make it happen, you know? To put it all together. Visual coder. But the question is, no, there is no question. I can always have a text file of whatever is happening. And in a way, like, this is a bunch of text. It's not code. Visual Coder is actually closer to code than this. Because it's closer to just pure text. Not much object-oriented bullshit that you would normally have. Because I want to pick up a code and just break it down into actual visual representation of this. Stuff that I'm very familiar with. So, new projects. Potentially, I'll just fucking figure out in the hospital how exactly visual code is supposed to work. And come back swinging, you know? I mean, it's about time when I have something that writes a code for me. So, that's that special little moment where CS Thingy... If I can open it up with a notepad, and it's a completely normal thing, because it always can be very awkward. So just showing an Explorer. I'm gonna try opening open with just Notepad. Oh look, it's completely Notepad viable. And then let's try and open a compute file with the Notepad. Totally viable. That's the whole point, I think, honestly. Wow, my own code editor. That's how mad I am, dude. Yeah, that's how you get rejected by a girl too. But that's fine. Alright. Now if I get rejected, I'm okay with that. This just means you're lower level. Now, it's not condescending to think that on a lower level, your brain just can't fucking handle intention. So you think that I am actually like invading your survival. If you don't want me in your life, you can just say, well, live your life, please. And go away from me. I know what you want. You can come up with all kinds of bullshit, basically, to defend yourself. But you don't have self-defense. Because you don't have a purpose. But, I also wanted to question myself if this is actually a correct word to use. But again, your instincts would completely change crossing this line. And it's like, you have to figure out how to de-weaponize someone, get to know someone, take advantage of them, and then figure out what will be the purpose of you together with that person. It is somewhat about connecting quite a bit and being open-minded quite a bit, and not much to do with survival, you know, because you're not being attacked anymore. Where survival like random things happen and people only care about themselves. And actually, they follow the rules quite well because they do care about themselves. They do keep a distance. We see that. They do stack their skills specifically, cater to whatever they feel good about constantly. They want to be the best at whatever they do, and it's actually at some point it gets very cringy. If you're too good at some one thing, you know, it makes you way too prone to actually go into a social group and just expose your skill pretty much, and then that's when you die. When your skill, you know, is completed, is shown to someone. That's when your relationship dies with that person. It's unbelievable, but that's the stack. You pretty much learn that, and you can be a master of these rules unless you actually have to follow those rules in a higher subset where it's actually a little bit more difficult to follow those rules. And yet again, it's room for growth, but you need consent to grow in actuality. And a lot of people say no to that, which is crazy. And yeah, the last one is like, you're probably good at dodging things that you don't like, pretty much. This is a very basic instinct, I would say. If you don't like something, you just kind of stay away from that, and that's a dodge of just bad emotions. But you're not quite sure whether those bad emotions are yours or the person who have dumped things on you. You can't quite sure. You actually have to ask your friends or something. So every single rule is actually quite stupid, right? If you just have your own point of view and what you want, and you know you have to get it pretty much, but that is just a hunter's point of view, right? And then there are also defenders who try and keep distance from people because they feel, at least feel that most of the time what people are approaching you for is self-benefit and not your benefit. They haven't thought about you enough to be able to invade your space. And here you go. Actually, yeah, I need some better symbolism on that, obviously. But we can use this as separation, fine. How do we... Let's go back. We did a simple thing, I guess. Point of view. Because I constantly have to redesign it and see what happens. Because sometimes some rules just break. Like having two things. And then stacking. Alright. That's pretty interesting. A new symbol. I want to break the rules all the time. Or like a filled up dot instead of a zero looking thing. Just to make it a little creative. Cool. Yin and yang, dude. People lack your space, so they want to enter into your space. But that's not a good reason to do that. A good reason is motivation. But here we go. We're gonna go up in the purpose section. And when purpose section happens, rules pretty much improve. And the feeling of the rules improves. And everything starts pretty much fresh, I would say. But that's a huge separation of people. And it's hard to accept it for some people. I mean, if you made a lot of mistakes, it's so easy to get stuck in survival and just ignore everything else and just give up on life. But the choice does come up, and if you get hit by age 25 where normally your life is figure out of how you're gonna survive. And even that doesn't fucking matter that much, because why would you survive? What are you gonna do next? The world breaks naturally unless you have, while surviving, you have actually also accumulated a tons of problems that will not let you seek out purpose anymore, but will actually be a routine, a daily routine. You wake up and you do your problems, basically, deal with them. So congratulations. But if you never wanted any problems, and never wanted to be stuck in survival, never wanted to have a family, or never wanted to care about money that much. Because once you start caring about money and you actually earn money, there's a lot of people all of a sudden that care about your money too. You know, all of a sudden you have something that everyone needs, and they're starting to waste your time and fill you up with problems and shit. So you actually want to escape that mentality and open yourself up for a new life, I would say. It could all be fake. I could have made this up, but usually when you keep trying, you find something better eventually. The walls give up specifically on you and just give you something better. Until you fully figure this out and master this out, which is technically considerably more difficult, but people can do it. So what is the section of purpose and what are the other sections? I would say the section of control. Because now everyone has purpose. So what's the point, right? If you go up, you have to declare yourself being able to control other people's purpose. And the only way to control purpose is just pure control. But what about this? So if you want to control survival, though, you have to enlighten yourself with something better than survival. But in order to control purpose, you straight up go to control, I suppose. And what is this then? Control is quite obvious, and we align it to the government as well. But if I just zap this thing in, like the master of everything, you figured everything out. There are no problems for you. Maybe it's like a seeker mentality. Because it's so difficult for you to find something you would like anymore. So the seeking becomes just overwhelmingly powerful. Seeking for a challenge. Because if you have this fucking thing, and you can make anything what you want happen, you're trying to seek for a challenge. It's just completely normal, I would say. Seeker. So when everyone has control, you're seeking for something beyond control. But that's just like, you know, that's how tier 1 sounds, and it's fucking stupid. I mean tier 4. It is beyond control. It's beyond our ability to understand. What would you seek for when you have everything? Seeker. You would think like, oh, purpose is also seeking for something, and control is just a weirder name for survival as well. If you have everything under control, then no, it's not survival. It has nothing to do with survival. It's way beyond that. Because you put your life under control, and that's survival. And you seek for your life to transcend that and gain some kind of purpose. But this is like beyond this just focus on your life. Control is something that you open up your mind to everything as well, and the ability to pretty much do a lot of things, in a sense. You can't stop doing it because you keep doing great things, I would say. You're good, right? In this sense, and you're perfect in this sense. So because you're perfect, you're kind of looking for imperfections constantly, kind of stuck after consenting to be a seeker. Small imperfections, anything you could improve yourself with, that would be the greatest thing of all time if you can find it. And by being good, you kind of want to try and control whatever life throws at you. I kind of find myself doing a little bit of control, maybe not seeking necessarily. I cannot claim that I'm perfect, but I find myself teasing with control. Maybe it's a bit too much responsibility for me. Maybe I'm just so fucking lonely, maybe, so I push myself to be good, but I can only be good to myself, so I remind myself that I'm just being decent, you know, while being alone and that shit. So let's figure out what principles I have to follow and everyone else has to follow when they seek for purpose. Because, again, like, seeker means seeking for a lot of things, not just purpose, I think. Because you kind of already have a purpose, right? But you have to keep upgrading the purpose. But here you actually need a purpose that sticks. A purpose that people can actually agree with and not bring you down. Something that you can defend yourself with and finally break through this madness as well. Because it's so easy to inspire other people with your purpose as well. When you truly dedicate yourself to something, people start challenging you on that. Because it opens a lot of doors for them. They might even build businesses around you just to kind of keep you around. And you have to figure out how to transcend that and kind of take control of those businesses, and slowly you're escaping, I think, that circulation of purpose. Because imagine inspiring other people with purpose, but you're not actually, what is it? You're not actually motivating people. They find their own motivation of what to do. And you never said what to do. You never hinted at anything. They just picked up your purpose and they found motivation because of that. That's a completely different thing than actually giving specific motivations for people from this point of view. So here you go. That's why it's control. It's about sending motivations, injecting motivations. Anyways, so how does this operate in terms of purpose? Because now you have to understand the deeper meaning behind those rules, and I think we have spent quite a little bit of time to do that. You keep yourself away from other people because you want to keep yourself in a space. You don't want to trash your space with other people. So we kind of see now defensive mentality, I would say. Your point of view also has a defensive mentality, but you allow yourself to bleed great opportunities, I think, because you get excited about something. So most of the stuff is very, very defensive, and yeah, keep stacking and restacking So no one can actually break you down. That means you always are capable of rebuilding experience from scratch anywhere you are. Which means that if I go to a hospital, I can keep on stacking something about myself and not really lose myself just because someone crippled my freedoms or something. So here you go. These are all very defensive, and the seeking of purpose, is about pretty much finding the right people who you don't need to defend yourself against. And those people kind of slowly build your purpose based on whether they want to be survivors their whole life or they actually join you. Because joining other people now, it becomes a rarity. You have to defend yourself mostly against these losers. But whoever also has a purpose, whoever also plays defensive roles, you kind of relate to them quite a bit, so that's what will help you build a purpose as well. Yeah, I mean, you can't ignore that during survival phase, you are surrounded by people and you're influenced by people and all that shit. But all you're trying to do is get that fix in your life that will keep you surviving, keep you as a respectable human being, respectable enough that others just allow you to survive. But like everyone expects that, right? And everyone respects people to also be very violent in that category, because they are kind of missing a lot of things and they feel like, oh, if I have that one thing, which is some resources, I just keep on surviving, it's fine. And how do you get that? Doesn't quite matter. But here does quite matter. Alright, because there are a lot of opportunities, right? You can combine them and figure out a unique way that belongs to you. So you just need a purpose to truly put yourself together. I don't know. What are you gonna be doing in your life? What are you gonna provide to people as a business? So here you go. That's pretty cool. We set it up yet again. And I still have to acknowledge to myself, like, I'm doing a lot of work. It's not necessarily impossible to find something like this, but probably it is now. Probably it is. Because I'm just showing how unique purpose can be. After the unique ways to survive, your purpose is even more unique, I would say. And if people want you dead, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fucking fine. This is one of those things where life optimizes itself. It's very unlikely that you're gonna be killed in life. But you now have to accept that you're losing a piece of control, because in a state of survival you can just hold on to something that you really figured out, really mastered. But in a state of purpose, you have to open yourself up for being unlucky and being knocked out, even though it's just fucking weird that it would happen this way, right? I think the most important part is that that's how it feels, because whatever you learned in survival is just a tiny piece of what you have to learn. And bad things can happen, you know, and they can actually push you down and remind you that you were never really that capable of a person. But they have to push you down by introducing that you can, you know, fix your mistakes somehow. And because you only have one life, there's no reason to reset your life somehow and fix your mistakes. That means, you know, it's one of those things that will keep you going forever, indefinitely, and might want you to break rules. That the only thing that you can make a mistake about is pretty much not doing anything or numbing yourself down in various ways. You always have to fight the system or whatever presents itself. You have to keep fighting. It is a tough thing to do, but at the same time it's a part of life, so it's not exactly something you forget. You know, it's just not something you forget. You wake up and the question is very simple. You're gonna keep on fighting or you're gonna start giving up? It's a very simple question. And obviously keep on fighting sounds like ridiculously difficult and all that shit. But all you have to do is just balance things out and keep on fighting throughout the day. And eventually you're gonna get to those days where it's in fact Friday. You know? The work is never over. It just kind of transcends where it can't leave you anymore. You understand, you kind of give up to the rule that you have to work quite a lot to be able to fight back against people who also work quite a lot to just have no purpose, you know, and you have to poke them. And if you have awakened a monster and you have given them an entry point, you have done a tremendous job already. And I think that might actually, if it happens to me, it will probably empower me quite a bit. So now I'm just kind of realizing that. And I'm also realizing why I was never capable of talking to girls, because it's just impossible in a state of survival. You have to let people do what they want to do, because that's all they have. You know, that's all they have. It's all pure nature and pure jungle, and there's no escape from that. People just don't read each other. They don't care about each other. They care about themselves first. And if you happen to be in their stream of interest, that's cool, but it's all luck, regardless. And you're probably going to be thrown out of that stream very quickly as well, unless you integrate yourself somehow. But that's even harder to do. Everything is luck, basically. If you look into people's lives, I don't know. I can't define what they did in their lives, how they decided, how they make decisions, what they operate upon, what kind of rules they care about. All I see is luck and them generating lucky moments, pretty much. And they can use that luck because they have probably acquired some attention from the people who reached the purpose level. They can use that luck to progress. Everyone can do that. Everyone can break the wall if they want to. And most of the time, if you mastered survival and you were thinking that that's all there is, that's even a better way to break the wall, because people actually want you to be enlightened pretty much and see what's out there when you level up. Anyways, that's cool. That's cool. Let's get the fuck out of here. It's scary as well. Yes. Yeah, I'm not working on Spawn. I'm even not only thinking about writing my own code compiler, but at the same time, this cookie clicker is the shit, man. I just have to figure out how to make it properly. Because the cookie clickers are out there infinite amounts. Literally everywhere and everything becomes a cookie clicker eventually. Just log in daily, do your fucking chores and shit, and click a few times. Various places, for various reasons. Wow. So much fun. I would rather play Unreal Tournament now for sure. It's the only thing that doesn't feel like a cookie clicker, even though it kind of is. You have to shoot people, so you have to click on their faces, man. As they run around, you have to click on red dots running around. Have to pick up the right gun and shoot them red dots on the screen. Everything becomes a fucking cookie clicker. It's ridiculous. Minecraft most definitely is a cookie clicker. You're just doing tasks. And essentially, if this is what games look like, I'm scared. You know, you can simplify games just as much as you can expand games. Except you don't like expanding games because it takes a long time, actually. That's the difference. You can make something simple that doesn't take a lot of time. Just have to figure out how to sugarcoat it. Because obviously the very first cookie clicker is total garbage. The classic one. And now it looks like it's a little bit too much. You know, it looks like it requires some simplification now. The latest version. So that's kind of interesting. Everything is a cookie clicker. Let's build a good one. And obviously I kind of already figured out how a good one looks like. This is it. Except obviously I have to have my own interface for it and all that. And potentially I can already have it by integrating it into my engine. Even though I wouldn't quite like it, I probably have to do it that way. But at the same time, it's like, oh my god, I have to invent letters and have to invent everything that you see here. So from letters, from just typing in any letters you want, displaying everything. So once I am capable, then saving is super important. Making sure that every single time there's an archive that I unload to. I don't know, I just don't know. It probably has to be a new text file all the time. Maybe it doesn't have to be. Maybe I can just use a specific archive and just plug it in each time I start a game, if I want a new one, pretty much. So that would be pretty cool. But it's just something I have to think about quite a bit until I get more conclusions. That's how I operate. I hope you are disappointed how slow I am, because I want to operate in a way that anyone can pick up, and they can walk with me the slow walk as well. And I would be willing to actually teach them, because it's so easy to just connect the dots of like, okay, I'm working on this. If you want to do this, you can do this, because I'm super slow and I will not care for a day. Whoever is motivated to do something, I would actually care about it, because I'm so slow. And I'm just constantly thinking about ideas rather than implementing them. Because writing code is so painful. But what if writing code itself would be fucking fantastic, right? Now, all of a sudden, I would play instead of programming, but it kind of would work a similar way. Man, that would be fucking amazing. That's why I want programming interface. And now that I'm like, oh, this is definitely possible. I want it. Now I fucking need it right now. There's no way, man. When the code becomes like a visual representation, where you can just drag and drop things and connect things, it's no longer a big deal, actually. It's very playful and very easy to actually understand what's going on, I think. But we'll see. Because that would require an intense amount of programming, and I do need an engine to work properly. So I just don't know what the order of things are. I just know there's always a way to go deeper and deeper. So for potentially what I have to do first, just to secure this ultimate step, is finish my engine, visualize YouTube map, all that shit. Just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm still doing okay when it comes to my plans. So I'll just, yeah, all I need to figure out now, how the fuck fix that thing that started happening. What the hell? What happened here? Why is it zoomed in now, all of a sudden? What did I do? Thanks for zooming in, I guess. I didn't ask for this. When did this happen? Impressive, dude. Impressive. Am I missing something? Is this it? What's going on? What's the last thing I did? Oh my god, it's so stupid. Oh, fuck, I can't believe my engine brakes again for some reason. You fucking kidding me? What have I done? What button did I press to break everything? It's unbelievable. I literally will not be able to find a solution. What's going on? I'm literally stuck. Seeing my fucking house of cards fucking fall apart just because I fucking slept overnight or something. What is going on? Why is it so stretched out and zoomed in? It's impossible to understand. What happened? Unless I can actually control these valleys easily. I don't know, man. This is the worst. Out of nowhere, there's another layer of a problem that I can't even fucking comprehend where it came from, even. Also, the FPS is super unstable all of a sudden. It lags really much, or it doesn't lag at all, or it shows very nice FPS. I don't understand this fucking crazy shit. Crazy world that I just entered, dude. What is this fucking bullshit? It's just some fucking random resolution problem. I built a project. It is what it is. There's so many random stupid things that just don't stand. Like, I have to remove Unity Editor every time I want to build something. Like, why is this not automated? What the fuck? If you can't find it, just skip. Who cares? Maybe I'm not using editor stuff when I'm building things, but like, who cares? Like, Unity doesn't fucking work. So, yeah, there's some kind of resolution thing happens now when I build it. And there's no escape for me anymore. I might want to port this to a newer Unity version and see what happens there. See what kind of bullshit happens. I think maybe I scaled it up. Here, you can see scale. Oh my god. I told you, there's some stupid button that gets pressed. And it fucks me in the ass. Here we go. But now, it's way worse. Because now I pressed another button, as you can tell. And it's glitching around like crazy. It gains FPS, it loses FPS. What is going on? What did I do, man? What the fuck did I do? Yeah, I reverted all the problems. So just to... oh my god. Just scale a little bit and you're freaking out. Like, what button did I press? And I exactly know, man. Everything has to be under control if you want to. Push those changes. Now I just want to figure out what did I do to deserve this that keeps happening. Cropping out my fucking blocks. And these blocks, most importantly. They're very cropped out. So I also did some kind of change. So the coolest part about programming is that you're just as likely to add a new feature as to break an old feature. Absolutely. Also, is this... How the fuck did I scale that up? With what? How? You can't just... Well, you can press on it, I guess. Click on it. If you misclick, man, go to hell, dude. My stupidity prevails. Alright, I've done one small change which fucking blows things out of proportion all the time. Probably because I'm not doing things as a regular programmer, even though I plan to do it. Probably hand rotation. It's something I had to do. Because now copy and paste a piece of the code that has to align itself properly. Which now it does. Congratulations me. Cool, right? Everything's back to normal. Alright. Oh, if you go inside... who cares? I just need to figure out now, by any means necessary, how is this even possible? How can I look through all these layers of blocks? Just look through them. It's fine. They disappeared. It's completely fine. I know back in the day what it meant, but I need more reasoning here. I need to read more data, basically, what's going on. Then maybe it will explain itself. You know, it looks quite consistently weird, actually. Doesn't it? Consistently deletes stuff. Especially if I go further, I guess. So I need to know how all the data is being managed right now. Alright, so it's pretty clear that nothing actually reaches a red area. Meaning that a lot of the area that I would use to store the objects is pretty empty. There's absolutely no reason for this thing to act out some ridiculous gaps, basically, in the system. So there has to be a different reason. Basically, there's plenty of space. Even when I go back quite a bit, there's not a lot of objects actually found. That's kind of fascinating. Maybe it's a mistake. I think it does get a little bit more red. It's hard to tell even. If I go back. It doesn't quite delete everything, doesn't it? It renders quite normally, except for this stupid garbage. And also the obvious parts of heat, I would say. So that brings down the FPS, so the black stuff shows up. But not because there's a lot of objects. I don't know. So yeah, I'll have to keep digging. Yeah, it's all down to misses, actually. If the objects are too close, they're gonna start missing a bunch. That pretty much solves everything that I wanted to solve. Everything else is just a performance problem that requires optimization, and I kind of don't give a fuck about that right now. I want to start building games and kind of go from there. Yeah, so if I do 500,000 misses, then it just stops bullshitting around. But my problem is that I actually don't have that much space taken away when I check how much space I actually use. That's my real problem, I would say. I need to try and extend maybe a little bit. Do something like that. It's hard to tell right now. It's hard to tell without curves, basically, of how everything is distributed. And where's the bump where things start disappearing because they miss a lot. Alright, so it's just something I can't quite control at the moment, I would say. Man, it's a little bit messed up, I would say. We can brute force into our next phase in the development, which I plan. So I don't know if hexa bounds are actually that necessary. They would be helpful. Now it's potentially valuable enough to do it. So let's just double check if it's doable. Wow, we just opened one science fucking video and immediately someone is saying the many generations before me, or like climate change. What is that? What are these problems that inconceivable for a human being? How do they fucking manage to get them inside their heads, dude? It's ridiculous. Think about yourself, dude. Don't worry about it. What the fuck is this, man? Minecraft turned into a fucking ass when it comes to texture maps. Thanks, resource packs are fucking useless to me now. Jesus Christ. Why is this bad all of a sudden? Yeah, extrusion is as nasty as it gets. Not only I get this fucking weird background bullshit happening, but it just lags like crazy with high textures. Because it has to check every pixel. It's not your typical polygon shit. There's probably no reason to do extrusion the way that I'm doing right now. This is not texture compatible, pretty much. It's a very sad moment of truth, I would say. Even this is actually quite a little bit laggy. Contrast. How do we get the contrast, though? No. Let's get rid of these. This is what I get when nothing is in the scene. When I get these guys in the scene, I get 6 FPS less. Maybe it's similar, actually. Even extrusion is insane to try and do. There's a specific reason for it. There's a lot of pixel checking, basically. And that's not exactly a good idea. Every time you move a pixel, you have to check if it has anything. Yeah, you can kind of see like outlines to extrude, but I have no idea how Minecraft does it. Even something simple as that is just bending my mind right now. I don't think I'm capable of actually doing it. funny enough. Yeah, I'm like... I like already know what my next episode is gonna be. That's how I feel. That's how exhausted I feel of everything. I don't quite know, but it's kind of getting obvious. I'm so sad I'll have to say goodbye to extrusion. Simply, it doesn't work on high-level textures. This is not even high-level, by the way. And I'm not sure if this can be optimized either. With like empty space bullshit or something. 'Cause that would be stupid if I could actually do it. The best way to do it is to simply, you know, turn it out of boxes and shit. If you want to have a railway, make it out of boxes. And planks and all that shit that's repetitive pretty much. Pieces basically. You want to piece something together, make it out of pieces. It's not a bad idea, by the way. It does strain on how many objects you're supposed to have in a scene, but potentially I can squeeze geometry into one object, and that's what we should focus on more than extrusion. Is how much geometry you can figure out, put in one object. Just play with geometry instead. So we have a bunch of polygons. I just use boxes at the moment. But maybe we come up with something more interesting. Now, because of textures, I kind of just create balls or something. There's no reason to. But flat shapes are kind of annoying too. But it's probably something I can't dodge anymore. It's kind of fucking sad, man. Everything's so sad. It's almost like I'm not dodging anything, so why am I not just using an engine already? Well, it would be fucking fantastic if I could use an engine. Everything would be fantastic. I'm just like missing all the right ingredients for fulfilling life. You know, some people actually spend time to do this. It's fucking tremendous. There's so many textures like that. And some people spend time to do this, which put every single piece of the texture in different fragments. Oh my god. And name it, too. Name it! Am I missing something? Am I missing sanity right now? Because I don't find any, ever, anywhere. I just don't find sanity. I see people dying even when they do a piece of fucking work. They fucking die here. It's like, well, it's cool, but am I gonna use this? Or should I think about it? Or thinking about it makes me dead as well. What a fucking weird shit, man. I would hate to see it flat, but like, this would look flat anyways. What's the point? Most importantly, yeah, the reason why I would want to extrude things is to have nice 3D shapes that I can rotate a little bit and look from different angles. That's it. That's all I wanted. But it's a little bit too much work apparently. And I should just design like if I want a number 1, you guessed it, 2 fucking rectangles. Your number 1 right there. Maybe a special linking rectangle. You want the oh my god, number 2 is gonna kill me. You can imagine there's already tools and things and people worked. But if you disagree even a little bit with what they did, well, do it yourself now. Kill yourself. Man, I'm just realizing something, you know? Everything is fucking noise and trash. And I shouldn't give a fuck about it. Noise and trash. Until perfection is found. Everyone will disagree until perfection is found. That's why I put it on the fucking tier 4 list. Everyone disagrees all the time and fights all over the place. And perfection is like, oh, hi guys. And everyone agrees. Magic happens. Crazy, right? Perfection. Everyone agrees. Oh yeah, we are doing too much work. And we shouldn't give a fuck, actually, of what this is. Whoever wrote this down is a fucking asshole. Download the latest textures. Oh, wait. But I just hate advertisements in general, so I didn't even read. Use latest. I don't care. I just picked up because it looks good. And looked good for a little bit. I really hate it, man. No extrusion, though? Is it really expensive? Yes! And I don't want to repeat why. Every pixel reading is actually expensive. Everything is expensive. And you have to read a lot of pixels when you're throwing array. That's a lot of pixels to read. You think it's easy? It is not easy. Sometimes you get stuck in a weird fucking pixel reading line. Maybe even this. Disgusting. If anything is imperfect, well, the game crashes. That's the coolest part. The game goes to 0 FPS if anything is imperfect. We had so much fun running around with these guys on the field. And they look very dark too. I don't know, man. So much pain. The world is full of pain. I'm just sitting here to observe it, basically. People have so much power, they just throw pain left and right. Still. They have so much power and have zero control. Which is pretty cool, because that's another thing. Zero control, zero purpose, and definitely zero perfection and seeking mechanisms of where to unleash perfection. That's the seeking that's needed, I would say. Yeah. We'll say goodbye to extrusion. But I don't wanna. Even this extrusion is a little bit expensive, apparently. A little bit, right? Like you can get yourself stuck in a very weird line. Tons of pixels, reading. Not good. And if I try and break this down into objects, clearly that would be a lot of objects, right? Clearly. Even the heart would take up, we have like 6 polygons for the box, so heart would take up 1, 2, 3, 4, no, that's a funny one, right? Isn't it? Any line like this would actually be 1 polygon, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we should be able to also make it out of shapes too. And figure out how to pixelate those shapes or texture it properly. I think it's not completely out of control. It's just something we need to learn when it comes to ray tracing. A completely next level. Because just reading textures, unless I would find something else of how to, some other method of how to do this. Reading pixels, but like there's nothing. What are we talking about? There is definitely 100% nothing. And there's no point either. Yeah, the only biggest problem, I would say, but it's still, you would still break this down into objects, because if you hit this object first, then you would hit it first, and then you would try and hit not much else you would try to hit. If you hit this first, you could still check here a little bit, but that's it. Like, it checks very little. It checks this thing, it organizes everything, and then checks just these things. Maybe a few polygons. So everything is organized. It doesn't quite need a lot of checking, I would say. But if it's not organized, it checks every pixel. Now, pixel checking shouldn't be that fucking big of a deal, but it is a big deal. It's just you never know how big. So I can't complain unless I see the numbers. But no one's gonna test for the numbers. We just have to figure out, wiggle ourselves in just something that actually makes sense. Now, it would be very easy to just draw something and just extrude it, right? And it looks super cool when it's just pixelated extrusions. Super cool. But we'll have to say goodbye to that. So, what I do want to do, however, is create a pixel map of the same thing. Alright, and we're gonna test basically a difference, a performance difference of this thing versus a polygon-based model. But in order to create this as a polygon model, we'll have to work real fucking hard, basically. This is gonna be super intense. They also have their own colors and everything, I guess. So we technically have everything made out of lines, right? It's even that's complicated, because we need to separate those lines, and we need to kind of let the system know, basically, that things are made out of lines. And you would kind of separate everything like this would be one line. Maybe this would be two lines. But like, I would have to use different colors too for that. You know, all of a sudden, like, how am I going to define this whole thing into geometry? I can't quite do it without an actual editor or something. And actually, like, draw those things out. It would be very useful, generally. So an editor would actually make most sense when it comes to this. It's even worse, man. Layers and layers of problems. Who would ever want to beat Minecraft anymore? Oh my god. I never thought that day would come. That's the greatest thing of all time. Maybe I don't want to beat Minecraft.